Law and Sport Report podcast is back here on a Thursday. Our expert, Justin Watkins, is here with us. Adam Hill is in. Adam Hill was not supposed to be in tonight. He was going to join us at like the very end. Well, I don't know, 10:30, right? There you go. Thank you. 10:30 because there was a VGK game tonight. But Adam, no dice. What happened?
Well, there was the beginnings of this the other day, obviously on Tuesday when Kelly McCrimmon, the general manager, decided, or not decided, he had to coach the team because all of the VGK coaches were in protocol. And he got some help from the Henderson Silver Knights, a nice little benefit of having the minor league team here. They got through the game, and then the hope was nothing else would come of it. That you had the positive test, you had the isolation, nothing else happens, you just move on with your season. No such luck for the Golden Knights because they did have an additional positive test, a player who we think we know, but we're not 100% sure. And then obviously also the Jesus, I'm a disaster. Another coach testing positive. I actually did order a new tripod today, so hopefully things go better next time I'm on. But yeah, so additional tests today come in. There was a weird little moment this morning at morning skate where nobody could get in the arena, and then when you did, there was no nets, no goals out on the ice. So I was like, what is going on here? And as it turns out, no morning skate because no game today, and we're not exactly sure when the Golden Knights will be back in action. It's a weird scenario. Obviously, everybody's kind of adapting to weird sports now in this era. But for the Golden Knights, kind of an unknown of when can they when can they resume, when can they practice, when can they play? Is there going to be additional outbreak? Because that's the big concern right now. If Alex tests positive and another coach is positive, and you could just say, okay, Pietrangelo is out for 10 days or however that takes. The coaches are out, but you can move on. And they can maybe resume in a few days. But if there's additional outbreak, then you got to wait until that's contained. There's no more outbreak for a few days, and you think that you have the spread, and then you can continue down the road. But right now, the NHL is kind of analyzing the up for VGK and figuring out, what they can do, when would be the best time to get back out there on the ice, and what the best course of action would be to replace some of these games.
Happy birthday, Cameron. I think it's clearly Pietrangelo who got the positive test only because his comments to the St. Louis newspaper today, right, in which he said he has minor symptoms. I mean, that seems to be confirming he's the one who tested positive. Some of the other rumors swirling around Braden McNabb because he went on LTIR today, which you can put a COVID positive person on LTIR if you choose. And it didn't seem there to be any sort of injury. He played the full game last night before last, and played all the way up until the overtime period and played his last shift late into the third. So it didn't seem to be an injury related to LTIR, but it's hockey. You never know what kind of injuries come up. So there was some swirling around. Maybe it's Braden McNabb. But to your point, I think it was a little bit of a premature for Kelly McCrimmon to say, "Oh yeah, no problem," because all the experts tell you that if you've been in contact with a positive person, you shouldn't even test yourself for 3 days,
right?
Because you're unlikely to show enough of the levels of the virus to test positive. So if you test the next day or the following day, you might get this false sense of security that you don't have it. And then turns out 3, 4, 5 days later, you do. But like that, if you talk to anybody here locally, Southern Nevada Health Department, UMC, or anybody at CDC, they will tell you, oh, you were in contact with a person who was positive. Yeah, I want to come in for a test today. They'll say, not too soon. Wait 3 days and then test. Isolate for 3 days. So let's say that it is Pietrangelo. This came at maybe the most fortuitous time in their schedule because almost the entire year is every other day except for like this week in which they have a 3-day break anyway. Now it's a 5-day break before their next game. So they should be able to give everybody tests within 3 days and have some knowledge about whether or not there's an outbreak or not. So that's a positive.
Justin, I don't know what you're talking about. I have a Twitter user who harasses me daily. I have multiple of those, but I have one who was all over me the other night because I said, hey, listen, like they had a positive test and they have to wait a couple of days and see if there's more positive tests at some point. He responded, called me, I think, a Biden-loving fearmonger, and don't I know such thing as asymptomatic spread?
Well, number one, Petrangelo seemed to confirm himself he's not asymptomatic. He said he had mild symptoms.
But the coach was supposedly asymptomatic the other day. So if it's one coach that has it, then nobody else is going to get it. That's it. It's done.
Yeah. Well, and according to the protocol, we don't even know that was a confirmed positive because they're doing the rapid test. So they have to test again the following day to confirm the positive. So at that point, we only knew of a single positive test.
Right.
So he may not even have had it. But clearly somebody does now and has potential symptoms. But I think the science is pretty conclusive that asymptomatic can spread. It's tougher if they don't have symptoms because they're likely not coughing and sneezing into the air, but they still carry the virus. They can still spread it. It doesn't spread as easily.
Justin, it's the best example. Sorry, it's the best example of people. And God, we rant all the time, so it's like we're beating a dead horse. But like, if you want to pretend to be well read, then you have to read, right? Like that's kind of a. So this person sent me a study. First of all, he said it's the most recent study. It was actually a study from back in May.
Oh my God!
He's like, it's the most recent study. I'm like, okay, and it was a case study from Wuhan of, I think it was 300 people, and the doctors determined that in that group there had been no asymptomatic spread, and the next line said the researchers who ran this study want to make clear this study does not indicate asymptomatic people can't spread. What it indicates is that during this time period that social distancing and mask wearing actually worked because it wasn't spread at all. So they want to make sure that that's what it said. And so I agree. But that's not even the point. Yeah, it was yeah, exactly. Yeah, we pickle. So, but the point is, you sent me this study and quoted the part that you wanted to quote, and then didn't quote the second line, to which I responded with the second line, and he said, yeah, but what about the first line? And I was like, this is not how fucking science works, dude.
Yeah, the second line's explaining the first line, buddy. That's how sentence structure works.
You can't just leave it out. And then he's like, I know it's hard for UNLV grads to read. I'm like, I feel like I'm the one reading. You're the one that's not reading. Like, what are we talking about here? I love people.
Well, I mean, to get back to the story, I mean, I hope, obviously as a fan that, they could play the next game and they've only missed one, but I don't think it's safe to say that we know that yet.
No.
I don't think we're going to know that until Sunday.
Dallas just started their season.
Yep.
So, by the way, I did see a stat today. Somebody said like least goals allowed in the league, Dallas. I was like, they played like once. What are you talking about?
True stat, though.
It's true. It's definitely true. I don't think I did hit him with the fake news. I think you can go back. You can go back and see that exchange on Twitter, which went way too long. I do feel bad sometimes when I get in these arguments with people because I love having the arguments. But like, it is not fair to people that follow you, where you're like arguing with some idiot that has 2 followers, and like now they have to see all of your dumb argument on their timeline.
Well, to be fair, if they're following you, they know they're getting some of that. That's part of why they're following you, probably.
That's fair. Although there's a lot of Raiders fans who just kind of came in this year and don't really know.
Well, they'll find out soon enough.
I think it's cool to be willing to engage them either way.
Yeah.
So it's fun.
I agree.
But if that person's watching, they're an idiot.
I saw in the comments, talk about GME and AMC. We'll get to that.
Yeah.
I'm in the middle of that fight. I'm in it. You're on mute.
I thought he was just waiting for us to react to the story.
God damn it.
He did this twice last week. It's great.
Going in and out. I'm doing sound behind the scenes. Should Golden Knights and Blues have played Tuesday? First, Adam, do you think the Blues will have a case if there's a major outbreak with VGK? And whose fault is this? Whose fault? Who was irresponsible before we had all the information they played? The Knights or the NHL?
I mean, I'd say the league. But listen, there's a lot of layers to this. I don't think there's an easy answer, because I think the obvious answer would be no, they shouldn't have played. Like, you stop it and you move forward. But then they are in a situation where they're trying to get all these games in. They're trying to get all of them played. You've already got the Blues here. You don't want them just sitting around not doing anything. They got the game in, and it was fine. Now we will see if there is, repercussions to be paid down the road. But I think they were able to do what they want to do on that night and get the game in. I think there's a lot of factors, like if there is, mass spread that goes, obviously it's a total disaster, and I'm sure they'll be angry and the league will be angry and figure that out. But like, think about the fact that the Blues were in town, Alex Petrangelo,'s former team. What are the chances that they broke protocol and actually went out to dinner?
He said they didn't. They actually asked him that question.
I know, I saw, but wouldn't you also say no?
I don't know. He seemed pretty definitive. He said absolutely zero contact with any of the people outside of the game. So, I mean, the question is an important one, but I don't think it's something we can answer without knowing what kind of interaction the coaches had with the players, with the coach who tested positive. I mean, we don't know that the coach gave it to Petro, and Petro, if Petro has it and where that went. It could be two isolated instances that just happened to overlap. Or if that coach was on the ice with the players that day, then maybe not. Maybe he shouldn't have played the game.
Yeah, I think that's fair. And like, we don't have enough of those details right now to even know. Like, was it a coach who wasn't feeling well and wasn't even out on the ice for a morning skate? Maybe just had meetings in the back, or was it the goaltending coach who was just working with the goaltenders? And maybe that's the case. Like, I don't know enough of that right now to be able to figure that out. I'm sure we'll hear stories in the future, but it's also another thing, like, with everything going through Zoom, like, they can control that. Where if it was a locker room, you just go to all the players that you're real tight with and be like, "Hey, who's the coach?" And they'll tell you. And those things don't really happen anymore.
So, Brady, on whether or not there's cap savings, here's what I understand so far is if you have a player test positive, not COVID protocol, the safekeeping, but if they test positive, you are allowed to put them on LTIR, but then you can't play for 10 games, not 10 days, 24 days or 10 games. So it's probably about double what they would have missed just in the COVID protocol, but you would get a cap savings on LTIR. But if you put them on the COVID designated list, the way I understand it is they are not counted towards your 23-man roster, which I believe means they're not counted towards the cap, but I didn't see that language specifically when I read over, but I just glanced it. So I'd have to look a little bit closer.
Yeah. I spent about 15 minutes reading through it, and I was like, I'm done. This is ridiculous.
Yeah, there's a lot of like legalese in there. Yeah, it's not short. It's not a short document.
Yeah, and there's some, like, I know that they'll figure it out. Like, they've been massaging the cap for 2 years now. I'm sure they'll figure it out, and then we can ask the questions when they make the roster moves in a couple of days. But for right now, like, yeah, and then Holden comes up, and they were trying to keep him on the taxi squad to save that cap space, and it's a whole lot to deal with in terms of the cap for VGK this year.
Well, they do have cap savings right now by putting McNabb on the LTIR. So that's he's what, $2.5 million, I think.
Yeah.
Holden's 1.7. So I think it just barely doesn't allow for you to bring up Holden and Glass, because I think Glass is just like a penny under 800,000 or something like that. So when you add those two together, I think it exceeds McNabb's by just a hair. so they can't do both. But I'm obviously no expert, and I don't know how much savings that they have accrued with the whole juggling of 13-5, 12-6, putting glass down, and so they might be able to do both Holden and glass at the same time and run a 12-6 in glass plays, and Colasar gets his 2.5 minutes of skating around with somebody.
We found out what the new job for him was the other day.
What's that?
He's the designated bench penalty guy.
Yeah, he is. So, he served it both times.
Yeah. So like too many men on the ice, like, hey, Colasar, get in the box for 2 minutes. Like that's his role. It's a good job. But for those, if you don't follow VGK very closely, or some of our viewers I know are from out of town, they are so tight on the cap that they're basically massaging it every day in terms of like roster move here, roster move there. This guy goes to taxi squad. This guy plays. We're going to bring this guy up that wouldn't be on the team ordinarily, but he's the cheapest guy we have. And then we're going to put 13 forwards and 5 defensemen. It's crazy. It's crazy how they're going to do this. But that's what happens when you have $12 million invested in goaltenders, and you've got to try to get a little bit creative every day. And it's like a rolling average by the day. So like they're playing with it every single day, and they're going to. Last year they were sending guys down. Like if you had a day off, you'd send a guy down, bring him back up. It was nuts, and they're going to keep doing that all year.
Yeah, went down and up. What was it, 27 times, and that was to Chicago every time. Yeah. It's not like you stay home.
But I think there was like some kind of a weird rule where he actually was supposed to go to Chicago, and I think they were evading that. Yeah, where like he actually wasn't going and just staying like at the Red Rock, and like they weren't really supposed to be doing it. It's a whole mess. But that's one of the real benefits now of having the HSK, the Henderson Silver Knights here in town now, where they can just kind of take a bus across town instead of a flight across the country. And as we said, the Silver Knights coaching staff came up and was on the bench for you.
Wait. A bus to Henderson? What, he loses his car when he gets sent down? He can't drive to the arena?
Some of those guys live in a hotel and they just take the bus, I think.
Get out of here. Talk about COVID protocol.
They're not making a lot. Those minor league guys, they're not getting paid that much.
Hey, how about the comment from a couple of people on Chicago on Washington, and that they had 4 players on the COVID
because Ovi hosted a party in his hotel room.
Yeah, but they were also not positive tests. They were on the COVID protocol list. Different.
Yeah, for violations, and the Caps paid a massive fine.
Was $100,000, right?
Yeah, and I also know somebody in the organization who, trust me, he was joking. He's not being serious, but he said, "Well, Trump leaves office and all of our Russians are suspended. What do you know?"
Oh boy.
It was not a serious comment. Trust me.
One last thing on the COVID deal. I was trying to tie together. I basically said between now that VGK is having COVID issues, the Raiders, UNLV basketball, UNLV football, are we the worst sports city in the country when it comes to COVID on our teams?
Oof.
And then what kind of message does it send? Like, if you were going to bring a college basketball tournament here, are you like, my God, that place is awful? Von Tobel responded with, well, they're not really going to judge off of how our sports teams are doing with COVID. They're going to look at how Vegas is and where we are right now in late January going into February.
I mean, here's the thing. We knew that there was going to be positive tests. We knew this wasn't the bubble, that it was going to be more like the NFL, and that there was going to be weird rosters and weird cancellations and weird. I think at least the league and the players knew that. If the fans didn't know that, they weren't paying attention. I just think back to the Broncos playing without a quarterback, and all the positives that they had across the league. But Baltimore, I think, had the most overall, right? Didn't they? They had a bunch. So
can we count Baltimore, Washington?
No, I guess no. They're different. What I was saying is like it, spread amongst four different programs. And I guess I'd have to look at college teams in different markets and how it works.
I don't think it's been that bad, actually. I mean, what? It's only been I mean, if this is just Petro and 2 coaches, not that bad. I don't think. But
yeah, but I mean, I think you're right when you combine like the Raiders were one of the worst teams. They were probably third behind Baltimore and Tennessee. Obviously, VGK is not off to a good start. Other teams have been worse, but VGK is off to a rough start. And UNLV, obviously, the program was shut down for almost a month.
Yeah, but I mean, both major UNLV programs are going to wind up playing 2/3 of their games. So, if basketball gets through it, they can still get hit again.
Yeah, we haven't been great as a sports market in dealing with COVID protocols.
No,
and I cover every team, and I got it. So,
probably
not a good sign.
All right, well, let's get into the stock market thing because it's got 2 layers. We'll get to Robinhood in a second, but let's set up the GameStop story. So, what are the basics of what happened with GameStop? Is we've got hedge funds against the Reddit.
You explaining this, Adam, or am I? Like, so.
Well, I was wondering what your expertise is in the market. I think. Well, I'll start off by saying this: if this does nothing else, well, first of all, it's going to get people enraged about how fixed it is against the little guy, which is great. But also, like, I feel like more people have become educated on what this all means over the last 48 hours than ever before. Like, I've heard all of these words before, but I didn't care at all what they mean and didn't look into them at all. And then I started looking into it. I was like, okay, now I kind of understand a little bit more. Like, I still have no idea really what's going on, but I understand like the words and stuff a little bit more. So basically, all these massive hedge funds, which are billion-dollar hedge funds, there's so much money in them. A lot of what they do is shorting certain stocks, and basically you're borrowing the stock, and then you're going to sell it when it goes down, pay back the money, and then you get to keep that profit. So you're basically betting against them. It's like playing the dark side in craps.
Exactly.
You're playing against all the investors.
You're rooting against you're rooting against the entire table.
Right. And so GameStop was an obvious short because GameStop, everybody assumes, is going the way of Blockbuster. Like it's eventually going to be out of business. So you have all this money. You're like, all right, we'll short this. Eventually, it's going to be worth nothing. And then we've got all this profit because it went out of business. Some people on Reddit, and trust me, if I'm getting this wrong, I'm sure commenters will tell me, but I've been reading a lot about it the last couple of days. Some people on Reddit figured out that all of these major hedge funds had this stock shorted so much, and essentially said like we could fuck with them by pooling the money. Now it started with one guy. I actually just read about this about an hour ago. Like in 2019, there was a guy out there that actually like really liked the numbers. He looked at the numbers and said they're not in as bad a shape as everybody thinks they are. They have a ton of money on hand.
Yeah, he said that they're actually in financial good shape.
Yeah, and he was like, I'm going to start buying this stock. So he was buying in. He's been buying into the stock for about a year, and he's been trying to convince other people on this Reddit, subreddit, to buy in with him. And it started to happen a little bit in like October. It started to go up. People started to put the money in, started to go up, and it really didn't become a thing until the last couple of days when it got to the point where like the market was freaking out. These hedge funds were freaking out. They're like, all right, now it's gone from like 3, and like it goes up to like 20. You're like, all right, well that sucks. Like we lost a ton of money, but what are you going to do? But then it's skyrocketing up over 1,000%, and like it's like a $70 billion loss. It's insane the amount of money that's in it.
Yeah, so like I've learned, well, the pandemic is what got me into the stock market in the first place. When everything was no sports, no nothing, I was like, well, and stocks all had plummeted. I was like, it seems like a good time to buy into the stock market. And so I started doing that back in March. So I've almost been doing it for a year. And for the most part, I've been playing in, for the first part of the market, I've been playing in leisure. So hotels and airlines. That's how I spent the whole first, and cruise lines.
I was going to say, were you one of the ones that bought into the cruise lines? That's one that a lot of people have told me.
Yeah. I bought Norwegian at $10.20 and then sold it at like 22 a while ago. It's at 24 now. It hasn't really moved too much. But so I bought into all the leisure stocks, And then as they rose, I had most of my money in Southwest and then Southwest Airlines. And then as they got to a number that I thought was close to their normal number, like Southwest, it's high over the last couple of years. It's only $60. It's already at 45. So I sold at 45 and I bought it at 22. So anyway, I did a lot of those different transactions. And but then as the economy and the stock market recovered, I moved more towards your standard Apple, Netflix, and Google is where almost all my money is now. But I did buy AMC.
Okay.
I didn't put very much into it, but I was like, hey, man, what amount am I totally willing to just lose to just be a part of this and watch what happens? So I put just a little bit in there just to see what happens. I'm still in. I want it. I still believe AMC is about to pop. It hasn't popped like GameStop, obviously. But so what I learned about this whole shorting thing is if the price goes up a certain amount from where they bought, they have to buy. So then when they have these huge hedge funds that have, millions and millions of shares, when they have to buy back, it puts the price up even more. And then the other hedge funds have to buy back and they have to buy back. And so it just keeps shooting up the price. But because some of these funds are supposed to be considered neutral funds, they have to then buy again. And so they had to keep buying and losing. And it just kept going up and up and up and up and up. And the funny thing is, GameStop, even at its current levels, which is like 300 and something bucks for a $3 stock, is still over 100% on shorted on the stock. So there's still going to keep happening here for a little bit longer, which is like all like 90% over my head. Like I don't get it at all, but I like the little dudes fucking with the big dudes. I think it's cool. But there was also some big dudes who were a part of it, right? Like there were some pretty big investors who got in on GameStop after this dude on Reddit for like 6 months was the lone wolf. He's just like, this is going to happen. And everybody mocked him. And then it went from $2 to $4. I read that thread that you attached or that you tweeted. It was awesome. Then it goes from 4 to 8 and they're like, hey, wait a minute. Then they all just started rolling in, and so hedge funds have lost 20-30 billion dollars and some savvy investors have made hundreds of millions of dollars.
But that now, like the bad part about the stock market has always driven me nuts for a lot of reasons. First of all, I think it is just because it's rigged for the wealthy and it's crazy in that regard. And like the little guy can win a little bit here and there, and they're like, oh, this is awesome. But it's not what it is. It's the rich getting richer and flexing their muscle on the poor. But the point is, there's so many people that don't understand this. Like I don't understand. I'm saying right now, we're talking about this issue. I don't understand it. I don't. And I wouldn't be able to get it. Like I wouldn't really be able to get into the market because like right now without doing a lot of research because I don't know anything about it. But so many people out there just heard, oh, wow, GameStop is going nuts. All I have to do is put money in this and get rich. And then a bunch of people like today bought it. And they're like, wait, what happened?
It still might go up though. Like Pro Martini Maker says, he's like, so when you borrow when you borrow to do the short, you can only borrow for a certain period of time. So you got the short period, and they're all bumping up against that deadline. So they're going to have to buy again, or they're going to. So it's good. I don't think it's done. I'm not in on GameStop, but because to me, AMC it's way lower than it was on its normal level. So when movie theaters fully back open, if I get completely screwed out of this situation, there is some value in that stock at the end of the day. And GameStop, when it's all said and done, when it's all over, will probably drop back down to that 2 to 4 level. I was on an interesting one early on in the pandemic, and it didn't really work for me because I got nervous. But when Hertz filed bankruptcy, the same sort of thing happened, but it wasn't because of shorting. But basically, all the retail investment people just started buying the stock, and it started going up. and this stock that should have been worthless, it should have been zero, was going up to $8, $12, then $20, and I bought it at like $2 or what was it? Yeah, $2 and sold it at $1.90, and then 4 days later it was like 18. I just got scared. I was like, I don't know what I'm doing.
Not exactly sure if this is the correct excerpt, but did you guys get a chance to watch this dude whining?
I hadn't.
Let's see if I have the right one. If not, I'll find it. Hold on. Bad setup. All right. Apparently, it's not going to work. I'll get it.
I mean, you could already tell that he's a whiner. This looks like a guy angry that the little guy is actually succeeding for once.
Well, he basically made a statement. He was talking more about the wealth tax, more taxes for the wealthy, and he said something like, while people around the country are just sitting home getting checks and not working. It's like, what? They're going after us. They're trying to get us. Like, okay, the first part is inaccurate. The second part, yeah, we are. Yes, enough's enough.
About time.
Yeah,
but okay, so the little guy can't come up by taxing the wealthy on all their gains. Never going to actually make what they deserve when CEO pay is like 300 times the average worker, and they're not going to get it that way. They're not going to get our money through any other changing of any systems. Well, okay, how about if we play in the same pool that you play in and try to get money the same way you do? No. I can't do that either. Like there's nothing. It's the same reason Trump appealed to that you're losing your power, white people base. It's the you're losing out some of your wealth and some of the muscle you can flex over the poor rich people, and they don't like it.
Oh, let me address Robinhood, by the way. So for those who don't know, Robinhood is a trade platform app that allows you to do your trades. And I'm on TD Ameritrade, which also shut down due to volume. But I got my AMC buy-in after hours, so I was able to move forward. But I couldn't sign into my app the last 2 mornings. It just too much volume, and then it would sign in at like 10 o'clock when there's the shit's already happened. I can't even do anything, right? So Robinhood just outright the allegation was they took the ability to buy AMC and GameStop off their app. As I understand it, there was an end around. If you actually typed in the code, you could get there. But if it was like on your watch list, if it was one of your stocks and you try to click it, it wouldn't work. It wouldn't click through. So they manipulated it so that most people would not buy those stocks. And this is way over my head, but some smart person on Twitter went through the lineage of who owns Robinhood, what the hedge funds that they're a part of, and so on and so forth, and basically said like Robinhood's doing this intentionally because the owner of Robinhood has most of his money in hedge funds that are shorting, and so they're losing. And so the question is, can Robinhood be sued? The answer is yes, and they already have. Right? Yeah, absolutely. You can't. That's absolute fraud to advertise yourself as a platform by which you can buy and trade stocks, when in essence the argument's going to be, no. You only let us buy and trade stocks that don't hurt you without telling us what those are until the moment happens. That's fraud. So they have been sued already, and I think they're in trouble. I mean, I think it's a big deal what they did.
Well, they also let people sell but not buy.
Right.
Like, come on, man. I actually just watched an interview with, I believe, the CEO of Robinhood, who looked like a 14-year-old surfer. He had no answers. None.
He couldn't say what happened. Clearly, it was an intentional programming, right? Like, it wasn't like, oh, everything fell to pieces because of the volume. No. Your volume was being handled fine. You just, affected what the access to the users to benefit you.
he was essentially trying to say it was a regulatory issue of way too many trades, and then whoever oversees them was like, what is going on? But then like I think it was Chris Cuomo that had him on, was like, well, can we talk to the regulatory body? Who's the regulatory body? Like, who's telling you can't do this? He's like, well, there's a lot there. Like,
No. So that's such garbage because
Yeah.
the New York Stock Exchange does stop, right? It will stop trading on certain stocks under certain conditions. It happened when I was in on that Hertz thing. They actually stopped trading on Hertz because it just went so nuts that it fell within I don't know what the parameter was, but it's a set parameter of certain percentage and a certain amount of time with certain volume, and they froze it for like, I don't know, it was like 30 minutes or whatever. And then of course that's when I freaked out, and as soon as it came back on, I sold and pissed away money. But clearly the New York Stock Exchange did not stop anything, even though there's the CEO came out and was like, this isn't good for the stock market. It's like, it isn't good for part of the stock market.
Yeah.
But it's perfectly awesome for the little guys who don't hang out in the lobby at the New York Stock Exchange.
I wish it would lead to lasting changes, but it won't. So
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if that. I don't know. I think that it's the right time for a lot of people to get involved in the market, and we saw that. My theory was when there was no sports and there was no sports betting, that the bettors bet on the market. And to be honest with you, if you put in money in March or April, it'd be almost impossible for you to lose money if you just held on until later that year. I mean, the whole market rebounded really well. It was just a matter of how much money you made and on what type of stocks. At the end of the day, I don't know what I'm doing, and I made 40% of my money. I have no idea what I'm doing. I could have just as easily bought any other stock, and I would have probably been doing the same thing. There's a couple of bad apples I could have picked and tanked, but all the major stocks worked out that way. You're on mute again.
No, I know. Relax. Someone was saying earlier, does it seem fishy with Biden now in office? Anything to that?
I don't know how.
As you guys explained, it's been building for months.
Yeah.
Been building for years. September 2019 is when that guy bought it and told everybody else to do it. So
yeah.
The other one that people are talking about, and I haven't looked at it and I haven't got on it, is two other stocks. The two phone ones, BlackBerry and what's the
Nokia?
Nokia.
Yeah.
Those are the other two that they're trying to do the same thing on. Nokia was at like $6, so I don't know where it started. Actually, I can look it up.
So they're just picking all these companies that appear to be on their way out of business, and then so they're probably shorted by a lot of people because they're expected to not be around for very long. And then they're gonna everybody's all over. I love that. Like, I'm sure some of the people in our chat were already on the stock market before and already messing with stocks, but like this week is like when the Powerball jackpot gets to $1 billion, and everybody wants to get involved now.
So Nokia was trading at basically $4 for most of the year. It shot up to $6.50 day before yesterday, and it's back down to $4.69. So maybe it doesn't have the momentum, or maybe it's just getting started. I don't know. Maybe I'll get in on that. Can we
pick another company that probably shouldn't be around for very much longer, and we can start this?
Do you think we got enough following?
Is there Sweet Tomato stock out there?
Yeah.
Like, who else is just on the way out?
I was going to say, you're definitely an insider.
It's true. What other companies, like, what is not going to be around anymore? What do we assume that is not going to be a viable business?
I'll have to think about that.
Besides sports radio.
Yeah.
It's tough.
J.C. Penney already went bankrupt though.
People.
Sorry, I had some silence.
The reason the market is doing what it's doing is people are sitting at home getting the checks from the government. Okay, and this fair share is a bullshit concept. It's just a way of attacking wealthy people, and I think it's inappropriate. We all got to work together and pull together. The reason the market is doing what it's doing is All
right. Now we have to work together. Is that right?
Yeah.
Nope.
It's bullshit.
I don't feel like he's been working with me before.
Yeah. It's bullshit, and fair shares bullshit. You guys need to work with us to make sure we keep our money.
Yeah.
Attacking the wealthy.
And yes, we're all sitting at home just collecting checks.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
I wish I would have threw my check on that.
That is the attitude, the out-of-touch attitude by a lot of wealthy people.
We stay wealthy by gaming the system, and then these other poor, unwashed are gonna try to do it themselves. Like, yeah, every once in a while that happens. You deserve everything that you get.
Moving on,
Marcus. Yeah, it is the first time politicians on both sides have agreed. Didn't AOC and Ted Cruz agree on this today?
Yeah. Except for people are attacking AOC for her response. It's perfectly fucking valid. Because Ted Cruz is like, yeah, we agree on this. Let's work together and do something. He's like, and she said, you tried to have me killed 2 weeks ago. I'm not working with you on shit, which is completely fair. And people are like, oh, get over it. Fuck you, get over it.
Get over it.
You inspired an insurrection that was aimed at killing her. No getting over it. There is a sports angle. You saw that, right, Steve?
No.
Mets fans are panicking because
it's a hedge fund guy.
Madoff really screwed them up for years without being, they couldn't spend anything forever. Now they get the richest guy in the world, not the richest guy in the world, but the richest owner in baseball to take over, and they're like, oh, great, we can spend money on all these. Awesome. And Steve Cohen has lost apparently billions in this.
Tough luck, buddy.
Yeah,
that's the Mets, baby.
All right, what do we have developing here? Because we got a big week of politicians all over the place being pushed back on, and people want them out of office. So let's start at the lowest level. We've got Tito Ortiz, Huntington Beach City Council. The City Council is looking to issue a vote of no confidence in Mayor Pro Tem Tito Ortiz. Sounds familiar. That's what happened to Big Shell in town, Michelle Fiore. So, Adam, what's the deal here? What's been happening over the last couple of months that led to this?
Well, he's still espousing his Q. He also has apparently been just a terror inside City Hall, with intimidating people and not wearing a mask and mocking on people that do wear a mask and that sort of thing. He's been a bad representative in a couple of run-ins with citizens that have been caught on tape. He's everything that we told the city of Huntington Beach he would be. I mean, you remember election night where how did these people elect Tito Ortiz? He is a disaster of a human being and an idiot. How are you electing him? And now you're shocked because it would Justin, the pro tem, that's voted. Yeah, that's a great question too. But that was voted by the rest of the council.
Mm-hmm.
So they're not trying to take him off city council. They're trying to take away Mayor Pro Tem, which they voted on. But why would they vote for him?
Well, actually, it can vary from city to city. Sometimes the mayor gets to pick who's the pro tem is. So I shouldn't say I know that for certain for Huntington Beach City Council. But generally speaking, how it works is the council votes for the pro tem. But it's not always. There are situations with the mayor picks from one of the council members to be the pro tem.
I thought I read that they unanimously voted for him.
Oh, yeah. Well, all those.
Disaster.
So usually, all those votes are always going to be unanimous, right? It's meant to. It's kind of this ceremonial thing where even if you wanted somebody else, but the other person has the votes to show confidence and support, everybody votes for the person, and it's always unanimous.
What does a mayor pro tem do?
Steps in for the mayor if the mayor's out.
Like an assistant to the mayor?
Yeah. No, it's like so if there's a city council meeting and the mayor can't make it, the mayor pro tem acts as the mayor. So
you're telling me that at a city council meeting in Huntington Beach, there could potentially be Tito Ortiz up there with the gavel running things with his dumb fucking Q theories and his idiot. I said this before. He's one of the dumbest people I've ever met in my life. And I've met a lot of dumb people. He's one of the dumbest people I've ever met. And I don't know if that's CTE and I'd feel bad for saying it, or if he was just always dumb or what, but he's not intelligent. So like, and I guess there's, I know you don't, yes, that was my thanks. That was my reference earlier of like, I know you don't want to say it, Justin, but like, we think that when people get elected, they probably have some degree of like responsibility and intelligence. Not always the case.
Not if you've served. That's
right.
Not the case.
Exactly. It's regular people. It's like it's a cross section of society, just like regular people. And sometimes you're going to have a Marjorie Taylor Greene, and sometimes you're going to have actually good, smart, intelligent people.
Yeah. Well, I actually think that it's difficult to find smart, intelligent people who are willing to run because of all the nonsense you got to put up with, Yeah.
But Tito is a buffoon. I'm glad there was an echo on that one.
Yeah. It's like two people said it.
I back up.
All right. So you brought up Taylor Greene. So what's going on here?
Oh, Jesus Christ. So here's one issue. First of all, why are we bringing this all up now? I don't. This is the part I don't understand. She is this person. Everybody has known she's this person. Once she won her primary, she was going to win the seat because it's such a strong Republican district. But like we've known for a long time, this is who she is. But like it's her constituents that should be disciplined or embarrassed in some way. Like she's just being who she is, and they put her in office.
Mm-hmm. This is like what we talked about last week. When the gerrymandering results in super safe districts, you're going to end up with extremists as the elected people because a moderate is going to be in the middle, and then somebody on their right or their left, as the gerrymandered district may be, say they're not conservative enough, they're not liberal enough, so they run to their right or run to their left. And the only way to ensure that you don't get primaried is to stay on the absolute extremes of whichever side of the aisle you're on. And they elected, they exactly knew who she was and they elected her. I mean, these comments were out before the election.
Of course.
These likes and I think it was one like and one retweet of posts about violence against Democrats, beheadings and murder were out before she got elected.
Yep.
So,
she there's video of her harassing and following some of the Parkland students immediately after, like 2 weeks after the shooting, and claiming it wasn't real, that they're paid actors. Why are they doing this? Why are they trying to take away our guns with a fake event?
Did you hear her theories on Vegas?
On Vegas, I was going to say there's a video about Vegas being a government operation to try to take away people's guns. There's stuff about first of all, her just straight racist rants about there's no systemic issues with racism, there's no government issues, there's nothing else. It's just black kids and Hispanic kids like to join gangs, and that's what's holding them back. Like, what? She's insane and racist and awful, and all of these theories, like all of these things, she's a bad person, and they're make her a bad person. Her Q belief, like I the case the other day, like I don't really think that's political. I think you should be disqualified from any offices. I don't think it's a political belief. This is a dangerous, thing to have as something that you believe in. And like I'm all for, hey, whatever, like however dumb you are, like her stuff about her racist stuff, be racist, and we can judge you for being a racist. Her conspiracy theories about shootings are horrific and awful and gross. But like the Q stuff, now we're crossing a line. Like now I'm like, okay, we can't have these people in government. We can't have these people in society. But I don't know how to fix that. But they certainly can't have power.
You can't do that, right? You can't. The only way we can fix it is through education on it. I do think that the Capitol insurrection is a moment where I think a big part of the country woke up. Even the Qs, even the people who were on there going, wait a minute, like, you know what? I maybe need to take a break from the sites for a little bit and see what is really going on. I really do think that has happened to a large segment of the population. And I think it's happened to people on the left too, just saying, you know, if the Q people really believe wholeheartedly what they're reading all the way through, and I'm only sticking to ultra left politics and their sites, am I getting the full story too? You know, so I hope it's a turning point for the country.
You have, again, I think as we often say on this, you have a lot more faith than I.
I didn't say it was going to happen. I said I hope.
Okay, well, that is different. Yeah, it's dangerous beliefs. It's dangerous propaganda to be spreading. Again, I don't know what the solution is. I don't know what the fix is, but it's got to be eradicated. Like, you can't have these people.
Next up, Subway's tuna doesn't actually have tuna in it. Lawsuit. Let's go.
Yeah, so in California, a couple of ladies filed a lawsuit against Subway, and they said that they ordered from a couple of different Subways and had the tuna analyzed, and it was determined that there was zero tuna in the tuna sandwich. I will say,
Justin, there was no scintilla. There's no scintilla of tuna.
That, you know what's funny about that quote is that being in the complaint itself made me go, I don't know if I believe these guys. And Subway came out super strong against it and said, it's 100% tuna. We deliver this all the time. These attorneys are trying to make a career and a name for themselves by suing fast food companies under these sort of bogus claims, and whatever analysis they did was clearly wrong or insufficient. They came out pretty strongly, which I would maybe give them the benefit of the doubt, except they talked about all their high quality products. And I was like, well, take it easy. Like, you know, like high quality. You could have just said quality products. You didn't need to exaggerate. And then if Ireland Supreme Court hadn't determined that their bread isn't actually bread, maybe I would go somewhere with them. But I have to say, I know that I've never used scintilla in a complaint, and it's just an odd word to use if you're trying to be factual and not trying to gain attention. That's a word you're trying to get attention with. If you're trying to be factual in your complaint, you would say, you know, there was 0.0% tuna per our analysis, you know.
Well, how artful can you be? Like, if their claim is we found not a scintilla of tuna, and then you come back and like it's actually 100% tuna, you're like, yeah, but how many scintillas? No. Like, is there like an artfulness to that you can get away with?
I don't know. I don't. Not in this situation. No.
Okay. I was thinking maybe they were trying to just like, define scintilla then. I don't know how to say it's not.
Oh, hey, I think we found our new stock. Is Subway on the stock market?
Red Lobster has to be on there, right? I mean, nobody goes there anymore.
What about Sizzler? Is Sizzler around? I think I saw one in Cedar City. I think there's a Sizzler.
I've eaten there.
At the Sizzler in Cedar City?
I don't think it's Cedar City. Oh yeah, it's Cedar City. It's not Cedar City. Yeah, Cedar City. Yeah, for sure. I was at UNLV against Southern Utah.
Uh-huh.
I think they're in Cedar City.
Yep.
And Subway was like the only restaurant open. And we went in there, and the team was in there because there was nothing else there.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I don't know if Sizzler's
Including-
on the stock market, but let's get there.
There's definitely also one in Napa. I can tell you that because I definitely went there during training camp a couple times last year. So they're around.
Wow.
Sizzler in Napa?
They're 100%. By the way, Napa, the town of Napa, not what you're thinking of as Napa. It's
Nice.
not.
Not exactly highfalutin.
No, like the valley, sure, but like the town of Napa, no. It's there's
Did it-
some, yeah, there's some. I don't know how to describe it. It's not highfalutin. Yeah, that's fair.
Bidding for the Raiders.
The Sizzler that's on Decatur and Vegas, is that right? By the
Vegas.
by the old Meadows Mall, by the Meadows Mall. There used to be a Sizzler over there when we were growing up,
Okay.
right? That used to be, we went there after every wrestling tournament from the age of 5 until like 14.
They're also, I think the one that we went to was Trop and Eastern, which has now been like 5 different things. I think it's like I don't know what it is. Oh, it's a bank now, but it was a couple of different things along the way. Trop and Eastern. And then there was one, I believe, like in front of that Walmart on Rainbow.
No.
think
Oh,
there was
you know
one there.
what? Yeah, maybe you're right. The
I think there
Sizzler
was.
I'm talking about was directly across the street from the Red Lobster on Decatur.
Yeah, you're right. 100% correct. Yes. Sizzler was the place. I don't know why this came up the other day. Oh, I think it was like if you're poor, what were the rare times that you thought you were rich when you were a kid? And I was like, when we went to Sizzler, for sure.
Oh,
For sure it was.
I think mine was Hush Puppies. That was
Oh,
like
at,
our.
Oh yeah.
That was like the fine restaurant we went to was Hush Puppies over there on Charleston and Tenaya.
I know that we had a family friend when we first moved to Vegas who also, let's say they didn't have a whole lot of money. And they told us that the best way to enjoy Sizzler is to go and then eat it, like have the breakfast, and then go to the bathroom and then come back out and just have lunch.
I mean, they're not wrong.
Wow. Okay.
Did you ever? So we used to go to that Hush Puppies when we would go to the Red Rock movie theater. Did you ever go to that?
Red Rock? No, because I lived on the other side of town.
Oh yeah, the old gem in the town, right next to. It used to be right behind the Wiener Schnitzel over there on Charleston.
Okay. Yeah.
Charleston and Jones.
Oh, that's right. There's like a Domino's there now.
I have no idea what's there now. I
think there is. I think there's like
But
a Domino's.
That Decatur Jones area, that was my hood. My dad taught at Western High School, so I mean, I lived out in the north, like way out in the middle of the desert, out of the middle of nowhere that had nothing. So we always had to drive into town to do stuff. But my dad worked right there, and I wrestled for Western's youth team. So that's where I hung out, man.
Yeah, we had Ponderosa, but I feel like we had Sizzler too. But Ponderosa, according to Wiki, was actually a competitor because you remember there was Ponderosa and Bonanza.
Oh yeah,
yeah. So and you got the buffet, and someone said earlier you throw on a little, you throw on the steak. Yeah, there. Sorry, salad bar. Ari salad bar for $2.99. So yeah, why not?
It was so great. Well, then I mean, we had Big Boy, which would be you would get like the hamburger with fries and a salad bar for like $6.
Do they still have that Big Boy in Baker?
That's a Bun Boy.
Oh, you're right.
Isn't there a Big Boy coming? Is the Big Boy here open yet? I thought there was a Big Boy on Craig, but they got rid of the Big Boy, so now they got a little chick out there because apparently the Big Boy was offending people. So seriously, there was a whole thing. We got to embrace diversity. That's going to be a little girl.
We did this on the podcast, I think, before. They opened like real briefly. They opened a Big Boy, which I thought was a terrible location, but it's like it was at Rainbow 95, like where you get off the off ramp. I think there's a Wiener Schnitzel there now, They opened a Big Boy there, and I think it only lasted like 2 months. Like it just wasn't going to happen.
Yeah,
But it was in a weird spot.
Is this Bob's Big Boy or is it just
Yeah.
Big Boy?
Yeah,
Bob's Big Boy. That's my mom would always the ranch dressing that we had for our salads at home was always Bob's Big Boy's ranch dressing. I don't know why. Oh, that's hilarious.
Here's Willie saying Bob's Big Boy was popular on Maryland Parkway by the Boulevard Mall in the 70s.
Willie's got more 70s Vegas knowledge than anybody.
Yeah, there wasn't one on my side of town though, Bob's Big Boy. Not that I know of.
Ground Round was way too fancy, bro.
Did they have it out here?
I don't know. I think I remember I'm trying to remember where there was one. I think maybe Maryland.
Yeah.
But it was fancy. And then that was also in Florida, the Steak and Ale was a little fancier spot.
What's the place that Steve Capp loves in what's it called? Not Hesperia, but just short of that in Victorville? It's not
no,
it's something else.
It's the Steer and Stein.
Steer and Stein. Yeah.
I like that place.
Yeah.
I think I ate the rarest steak ever there and just like washed it down getting annihilated.
That's a Steve Carp favorite.
Victorville's still holding strong onto their Scandia too. Still there.
Dude, they are. They really are.
That thing has been there my entire life.
I wish we had the one back here. Or what was the one in Green Valley? I think it was Mount Asia. That was awesome.
Not my side of town.
It was like a mountain with a miniature golf course. You'd have to play up the hill. Oh, it was great.
I just drove through. I just went to San Diego 3 weeks ago with the family. And I was like, there's a Scandia still holding strong. And the girls are like, can we stop? And
No.
If it wasn't pandemic, I would be in. We would go play some miniature golf at Scandia.
You can't make the Victorville stop anymore. You have to make the Hesperia stop because Texas Roadhouse now.
Yeah. There's a Texas Roadhouse in St. George. I pass all the time. I don't like Texas Roadhouse.
There's also one in Vegas, but it's just too far away.
Where is it?
And it's 2-hour wait every day. It's right across from the cannery.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Complete other side of town.
Literally every time I've been, it's been at least 2-hour wait.
What is this?
That's Texas Roadhouse.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
The greatest of the chain restaurants.
Like Cracker Barrel? People waiting 3 hours to get in there to eat?
Which makes 0 sense.
Where do you live, Jay Lawrence? There's a Scandia across the street. Where's that?
Yeah, what the hell? I'll go right now.
Yeah. Put on the mask and get the butter out. Let's go.
The bumper boats? Like, let's go.
Oh, man. Oh, the boats.
Oh,
Fairfield.
I've been to that one. And I've been to the Texas Roadhouse in Fairfield. This is awesome. This is great.
They got everything.
It's great. It's you go through it when you're on the road from when I was going like Oakland to Sacramento.
Yeah.
Go through. Yeah.
Yeah, there's like when you're going through that same road, there's that badass water park that's there. I don't know the name of it, but that thing looks awesome.
Yeah.
You know what that thing?
It's in what's the town?
Mission Viejo, right?
I thought it was Visalia or something like that.
Oh, you're right.
Vallejo.
You're right.
Vallejo. We're like
Vallejo.
Yeah, that's where it is.
You're right.
Yeah.
I think it looks awesome. John Carvelli said,
Steve, as you know, I lived in the Bay Area last year, so I've got a lot of this knowledge.
Yes, I've heard this before. It's the first time you mentioned it, but there's been whispers of you living up there.
Yeah. I haven't lived in Vegas since I was in 8th grade. I've lived 1 year in the Bay Area. Yeah, on the 80. Yep. Great. I've actually been to Heretic Brewing too. So listen, I'm a Bay Area guy.
See, who brings up who brings up the French Laundry when we're talking about these places?
Perfect. A little higher class.
Actually, for some reason tonight, Von Tobel was talking about different places he's gone to eat recently. So he went to a Japanese tapas place on Jones that he loved, and he's like, next up, we're going to look for some authentic French food. I'm really dying to get French. And I'm like, what?
Pamplemousse?
I think Pamplemousse is done, isn't it?
Are they?
I don't know.
There's a French place that's down off of. Is this the one you're talking about? Off of Spring Mountain. It's right in the middle of Chinatown. It's freaking awesome. Yeah, it's great. It's
Pamplemousse is on the Sahara, just east of the Sahara.
Yeah,
I could find it. It's like I can't remember.
I mean, if you want to be lazy and go like Mon Ami Gabi, it's great, but it's not.
Yeah,
it's too corporate.
Yeah, my wife and I went to that French restaurant in Chinatown on a whim on a Yelp review. We went in there and John Curtis was in there eating.
Like, French food sucks.
Yeah, I'm with you. Me too.
I
agree.
It's terrible.
It's a good point. Thomas Keller's here. Although he learned 2 weeks ago when your boy passed away. Don't compliment Sheldon Adelson, apparently. You saw what happened to Keller, right?
No.
On Twitter. He basically was like, hey, he gave me a lot of good opportunities, got me into Vegas, so thank you, and like rest in peace. And people were like, you motherfucker. like fuck Sheldon Adelson. Like, Jesus Christ. The same day, like he's just writing a nice note about the guy. Fuck him. Republican funded all this shit. and he actually, I don't think he just deleted the account. He pulled the, I'm out of here for a month. So he's just off Twitter, I think.
While we're on the celebrity chef angle for a minute, I'm guessing you guys have not watched. I actually started watching a cooking show.
Okay.
Which is ridiculous. But it's a cool concept to me. It's Selena Gomez, and she can't really cook, and she's stuck at home, so she's learning how to cook from all these like great chefs.
Right.
And the reason I really wanted to watch it because I saw our guy Roy Choi was going to be on, who's tremendous.
He's awesome on those. I think he's the most relatable of all the celebrity chef guys.
Well, he just started. It's crazy. He was talking about how he started out. His daughter now is 16, and he was saying he just started making tacos for the people leaving the nightclubs in Hollywood. Yeah. And his daughter was like 6. So it's like 10 years he's gone from slinging tacos outside a club to being this, ridiculous chef with all these locations and stuff. But
he does. He does the show. If you want to watch it, he does the show with Favreau.
Oh, he does?
He does the cooking show. They're already like 24 episodes in. It's awesome because Favreau, they had that movie, the chef movie, and so now this is the chef show, and yeah, they just cook together. And Favreau is actually like kind of a high level chef, but he doesn't know everything, but he's so respectful towards Roy Choi. It's actually pretty interesting.
But everything I've ever had from any of Roy Choi's spots, like I've loved it. So I was like, oh, this is cool. I can see how it's done. And the whole premise is that like she doesn't know how to cook at all. Yeah. So like I was like, oh, good. It's gonna be like a beginner's thing, and maybe I can learn to make something that he makes. And like literally, the beginning of the show, she just has to take out the ingredients because it's on Zoom because they can't leave their houses, obviously.
Oh, okay.
And she has to take out the ingredients. And I think there was like 41 ingredients, and I was like, okay, like what?
Dude, I know, because he'll try to replicate famous dishes from certain restaurants or dishes that have wherever they are, and they'll try to cook it themselves. And I mean, he's got everything portioned out, and it's like this. He's just like, God damn, man. I tried to off of TikTok tonight. I tried to make my own like chicken nuggets, and it was a disaster.
Hey, by the way, that French restaurant in Chinatown's Partage.
Okay.
Spring Mountain. It's a good spot.
Why is Guy a douchebag? Has someone had a bad interaction with him? Just that douchebag Fieri on it.
I've only seen 4 episodes, so I don't know if he's on this one. Maybe.
All right. Well, if you say it's good, I'm going to check it out.
Well, I'm a Selena Gomez fan, so it's only fair. But the first one, she learns how to make an omelet.
Yes.
And it's a French dude that just screams at her.
Oh, really?
That's awesome. That's good.
It was pretty good. But I was hoping to be able to make those. I don't know if you guys ever had those short rib breakfast tacos that Roy Choi makes. It's like one of the best things I've ever had. But it was like 2 minutes in. I was like, there's no way. I got no shot.
You can't do it?
Dude, watch the episode. Like, I couldn't. There's no way I could identify the ingredients. Like, I'd be already out. Like, I'm done. No chance.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff I do not have in my house. So, like, I got the basics, but they get too deep. They get way too deep.
I'm saying I don't think if you give me a list, I couldn't find them at the grocery store.
Oh, dude. When we were in California, my wife was cooking and she's like, hey, I need you to go down to the market and get somebody will say it in the comments what these things are called. Something cubes. Something they're like these cubes that are supposed to add spice to whatever you're cooking. Fucking what are they called? God damn it. I'll have to find it. But anyway, bouillon cubes. Yep, bouillon. So I go down there and I'm like, hey man, you got some bouillon cubes? Because I don't even know what they look like. I don't know what aisle to go down. And the dude's like, I have no idea what you're talking about. And I was like, shit, me neither. And so this lady comes up. She's like, I think they're for like cooking or like little cubes. I'm like, okay, you got those? He's like, I don't think so. And I'm like, well, fuck, I don't know where to look either. So I guess she's not getting the bouillon.
You know where I go to get stuff is you got to go to the business Costco. Now that said, you're going to get 400 of them, so you may have a bunch of them for a while. So I don't know. I think I bought some cumin a while back, and I'm like, and I like since I haven't used it yet, and it's like, it's probably I don't know. It's fucking gigantic. I'm like, why did I do this?
Well, fucking animal joy. I was in La Jolla Shores, and there's only like 4 things, and there's this one like sort of market that's got like lotto tickets. So I bought lotto tickets at like half of a normal store. But so I was asking that guy about bouillon cubes, and he's like, I don't know. And I'm like, cool, can I get some Powerball tickets? Let's go.
Bail out.
Yeah.
Steve probably does have a ton of all these ingredients in his garage. We can just go shopping there.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll give it to you for 10 cents on the dollar.
Yeah.
I was looking for I ran out of Frank's Red Hot, and I was like, where's that big thing of Red Hot I bought? And I pulled out a jug, and it was like, I mean, it's like probably a 64-ounce jug of Frank's Red Hot, and I think like this much was off the top. I'm like, what was I thinking? Like, I don't use enough Frank's Red Hot to defend this purchase. This is ridiculous. So I'm going to go on a Frank's Red Hot run. I'm going to have a lot of spicy chicken coming up. Just dump the whole thing in, crock pot. Let's do it.
Wow, look at Willie Ramirez coming in with the life hack on bouillon cubes.
Yeah.
Woo.
Well,
which ramen flavor though? Is it the Oriental flavor?
White House the noodles.
Oh no, they changed the name. It's not Oriental anymore. It's soy.
Yeah, I know.
It is soy. You're right. Yeah, I'm big on the chicken bouillon. You got to buy some beef. Get the I don't know what it is, tomato bouillon, so you can make a fideo soup. It's good. It's the cheap way of making your soup. And I know I love my soup. See, Brady said.
I think episode 3 of Selena and Chef, you get to make pho.
Oh, that's tough. That's ridiculous. You're gonna make
not
making real pho. Did you watch it?
Oh no, they made real pho.
They freaking use the bone and like slow cook the bone.
Well, I guess no.
They must have come up with some sort of substitute. It's ridiculous.
Watch it. It looks pretty legit.
God, I would love to make real pho at home, but it's hours.
Make the one that they made if you can do it.
Well, here we go. At the end of these shows so often. I was telling the guys on the show after Cofield and Company today, I was so tempted today to jump back into the chicken wars because we got new chicken sandwiches out of Wendy's, McDonald's. There's some kind of cluck thing at Jack in the Box. And what's the 4th place that just came out? There was a 4th place that just came out trying to get into the chicken war. So Angel, our remote tech, said the Wendy's sandwich was too small.
Yep. Wendy's does not compete. Well, the only one that competes with Popeyes, which I love, is Farmer Boys has got a sandwich that they just put on their menu. Pretty dang good. Yeah.
All right.
It can't be as good as the old Farm Basket sandwiches.
Oh, come on. No.
What do you mean the old? It still exists?
What?
There's still the Farm Basket on Charleston and Jones.
The Trop one is mine.
No.
I haven't been in a while. Maybe I might go to that tomorrow.
Smart.
I'm not going to do rhymes with, but it just hit me. We had a salesperson approach me a year and a half ago, and they were like, "Would you guys be interested in pitching Farm Basket?" And I'm like, "Yeah." Do you know how bad you have to be not to sell Farm Basket with our show? All we fucking do is talk about chicken.
Yeah, I think there's going to be a couple of listeners with me at Farm Basket tomorrow just by us talking about it.
What was your pitch? No, they didn't feel like you talk about chicken and chicken sandwiches enough. Like we can't do it more on sports radio. Yeah, right?
We'd be like, actually, the only problem we'd have is we'd have to tell them like, we don't have any more room for chicken talk in our show. Like we're already jam packed with chicken talk. Like we can't work anymore.
How'd you not close that deal? What happened?
Wasn't me pitching it. Someone else. It's very territorial. Once someone gets their hook into something, that's it. You got to stay away.
Okay.
But I don't know why. It just hit me. It's like 18 months later. I'm like, we didn't land that deal. I'm like, God damn, man.
Hey, I'll go talk to him tomorrow about the little podcast sponsorship.
Yes.
That'd be nice. That'd be nice.
All right.
Brought to you by Farm Basket.
Yeah. It would,
Hell yeah.
I love the Farm Basket's awesome, man. It's freaking great.
Somebody just tweeted, can all those people from Reddit please send us our $2,000?
Right. Yeah.
That's pretty funny.
All right, we're gonna wrap it tonight. We'll Brady, I appreciate the Karen stories, but I don't think Justin's ready to handle it. So we'll get into it next week. I can't do a Karen story either. I'm watching. You know what unfortunately I got back into TikTok, and there's way too much bad stuff on TikTok now. It's out of control. So everyone's threatening people, and they want people to come at them, and they got their flags up, and it's gonna be a civil war, and like just shut the fuck up.
Are you gonna watch the TikTok pregame show?
I will watch anything that's on TikTok because I think Shaq. We never got to it today. Shaq has he's got some sort of pregame or like a Shaq Bowl. I think that's on TikTok too. Along with who was it? Miley Cyrus.
Yeah, Miley's headlining the TikTok pregame show.
I love it. Let's see, Justin. Do you want to give a restaurant update?
Haven't signed the papers yet. Just had I think what is our last meeting to work out the details. So maybe next week I'll say definitely, but the first show into February I'll be able to start saying some names.
Oh wow, very exciting. The
names of the restaurant or location,
or who?
No, restaurant. I got to sign the development agreement first, the franchise agreement, and then we got to agree upon first location. I'm signing up for three restaurants in the Vegas Valley over the course of the next 6 years.
And yes, he may be buying into Farm Basket, and he is going to introduce a new item to the menu, the Clunt sandwich.
It's a family establishment.
Thankfully, I don't have any control over the menu. It's a franchise.
Yes, but you do have, as we talked about last week, you do have control of staffing. So have you made a decision yet on front of the house, back of the house?
Oh yeah. I mean, we have to do a show where when their team comes in to train, I'll just be like, yeah, here's my guys. And it's going to be you guys. And we'll just run it for about 4 hours and see what happens. And then I'll be like, no, I'm just kidding. Here's all my real
They're
people.
like, well, we can't do this. Like they're texting. They're like, what the fuck did we do that for?
No, I mean, I don't know if this is what you're talking about, but we could be the training video.
Oh, that's not what I was talking about, but that would be fucking great.
Yeah. This is how you act. This is how you don't act. Perfect.
I actually, if Adam was cooking and I was front of the house, that would be good.
No, I think it's the other way. I think you need to be back on the fryers. And the tickets are just popping up. And you're throwing fucking dishes up there, and Ari's not serving. Yeah, he's not serving them quick enough.
But I intentionally screw things up, so Adam's got to walk out and explain why the food's bad.
Well, no. Ari is the server with
right.
Adam supervising all.
But Steve, I can see Steve just lining up plates, but like they're not right. And Ari's scared to say anything, so he just stands there and stares at him. He's just looking at him for like an hour, and there's 100 plates lined up, and it's just total chaos. And then I'm in the front like, I'm sorry.
Ari's trying to piece the correct plates together. He's grabbing fucking food and moving it around.
I don't think this is going to work.
Luckily, not to give it away, but your menu may be a little more, little scaled down as compared to what we're talking about here. I don't think it'll be too complicated. So,
it's a pretty like eclectic,
my menu?
not eclectic. Yeah, I think so.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of shit on there.
Yeah,
Dude.
there's a lot of there's a lot of stuff.
You have like 4 items on one dish.
What do you mean?
I don't know.
Bro.
Look at the menu.
We got fish, we got pizza, we got wings.
I got to study up.
steaks,
I'm not ready.
burgers.
I'm not ready.
That's why it's going to be great.
Right. I walk in. I'm like, where are the? I think I used this line last week, but like, where's the line of air fryers? Like, there should be like 44 air fryers.
Fucking Ari coming back when somebody returns a burger because it's not medium, it's too well. Fucking doesn't want to say anything to Steve about it.
Yeah, this is
real
perfect.
ugly.
All right, should I say table 5 is up? Okay, table 9, it's 5. Damn it! Just yelling at him.
Steve just developing hand signals, and Ari just has no idea what they mean, so he's just staring.
I gave JVT a hand signal today, and he was like, "He got it finally."
For those that don't know, Steve is constantly giving hand signals, and now because we're not in the same location, we're all just watching each other on video. Sometimes it's like below the screen.
Yeah, you
and
guys.
We're like, what? What's going on there?
I'll go to break and I'll be like, point my finger in, and the finger's like barely in the screen. So you in the corner. I'm like, why did we go to break? What the fuck? You didn't see it? Then it just gets obnoxious. Like when I want Ari to back off, I'm like, okay, you didn't see the sign? All right, there it is. It's clear now. So it's quite the show.
Yeah.
It's quite the harmony.
Should work well.
But you won't add. We already have someone who personalized dishes, so we're not going to ask for that with Justin's restaurant project. So
it's true.
I feel like Naked City Chris kind of shut us all out. He gave you the lobster mac and cheese. He gave me the tomato pie from Jersey. He gave Moss a dish, but for some reason, the only picture is of Shapely Helen Yee and her fried pizza. Yeah, our pictures aren't around. So funny how that.
Well, also, I don't think we're on the pandemic menu either.
Oh, they got a smaller menu.
Yeah. Justin, you all right?
I can't believe you're off the menu. Pandemic menu should be only personalities.
That's true. We'll be back. I think we'll be back on there.
All right. The pizza I picked wasn't really like a great choice for pizza, so no one gets it. You have to be from New Jersey to get it. So, oh well.
What's that New Jersey special sandwich? The fucking salami sandwich that you guys
the
call
Fat Daryl or whatever?
No, he's talking about pork roll.
Pork roll. Yeah, you go.
Pork roll or Taylor ham.
Yeah.
But Adam is right. There's a whole like fat system that actually started at Rutgers with food trucks, and they've got a bunch of sandwiches that basically it's like a burger, fries, chicken fingers on top of it, mozzarella sticks, all in a sandwich. So it's been stolen around the country. Actually, what's his name? Turtle. Turtle's part of a restaurant. There's like 4 of them in LA, and they do the fat sandwiches. So pretty good. Pretty gross though when you're 50 and you look at him, you're like, yeah, that was really yummy when I was 19 and I could process anything, a 4,000 calorie sandwich. Now you're like, oh shit. I'll break that up.
That's good. Yeah.
All right. Good closing point. We'll see you, Brady.